Welcome back to the Strength for Generations podcast, guys. I am so excited for today's conversation, and it's about something I think so many families are craving: peace, order, and a home that actually works together. Because so many of us are trying to balance family, marriage, work, business, our health, and our faith. And sometimes it feels like we're constantly reacting instead of intentionally building the life we actually want. My guest today has had a huge impact on the way I run both my business and our home. Chelsi Jo Moore is a wife, mom, entrepreneur, creator of Systemize to Scale, and host of Systemize Your Life podcast. She helps moms build successful businesses without sacrificing what matters most by creating simple systems that bring more peace, clarity, and freedom to both life and business. I have personally gone through Chelsi Jo's program, and I'm also one of her private clients. And I can honestly tell you that her systems have changed the way our family operates. From creating a shared family calendar, to getting our kids involved in running the home, to creating better systems in my business, so much of what we do differently today came from what I learned from her. What I love most is that these aren't just business systems, they're family systems, and they can create more teamwork in your marriage, teach your kids responsibility, teach your kids about money and money management, and give you more capacity for the things that actually matter. And there's a lot of wisdom in this conversation for moms, wives, business owners, dads. I wish more husbands would listen to something like this too. Anyone who feels like they're constantly trying to keep all the balls in the air. Before we get into today's episode, I want to tell you about something that Chelsi Jo has coming up that I think many of you would benefit from. If you're building a business but feel like you're constantly juggling your calendar, your family, and everything else life throws at you, I want you to check out her Escape Your Overwhelm Bootcamp, and it's happening August 24th through August 28th. So if you're listening to this before those dates, then you can go ahead and sign up. And I know you can go ahead and get over there even if you're listening to this later. She still has stuff available for you. One thing I really appreciate about her approach is that she's not just teaching you another productivity hack or telling you to simply manage your time better. She's teaching what she calls life and business operating systems. And it's a completely different way of operating so your life and your business can actually work together instead of constantly competing with each other. So if you're tired of feeling like you're always reacting instead of making meaningful progress, I think you'll get a lot out of this. She's also provided a special link and code for our Strength for Generations listener. You'll find all of those details in our show notes. You can shoot me a message if you can't figure it out. And if today's conversation makes you think, I need this in my life, I highly recommend checking out her other resources as well. Remember, guys, I've personally gone through this program. It's made a massive change in my life and my home and how we operate. We don't fight like we used to. We don't argue about stuff. It's just so amazing, and I can't say any more good about her than I already have. So let's dig into it, my friends. Welcome to Strength for Generations, the go-to podcast for Christian families who want to build strength, restore energy, and deepen connection with God at the center. I'm Christa Baker, Christian health coach, wife, mom, and co-founder of Baker Family Fitness. I'm here to help you honor God with your health and bring peace back to the process, to simplify what it means to build strength in your body, renew your mind, and care for your spirit, all without losing precious time with your family. So grab your coffee and your ribeye, and let's do this His way. All right, my friends, welcome back to the Strength for Generations podcast. Today, I'm joined by someone who has had a huge impact on how I run both my business and my home. Chelsi Jo Moore is a wife, mom, entrepreneur, creator of Systemize to Scale, and host of the Systemize Your Life podcast. She helps moms build successful businesses without sacrificing what matters most by creating simple systems that bring more peace, clarity, and freedom to both life and business. Over the last 7 years, she's built a multiple six-figure business while staying present in her marriage and motherhood, proving that success doesn't have to come at the expense of your family. I've personally had the privilege to go through her program, and I'm also one of her private clients. And I can honestly say it's transformed the way our family operates, how I operate my business. It's just been such a joy. From creating a shared family calendar and giving our kids age-appropriate responsibilities to building systems for projects, hiring, planning in my business, And so much of what we're going to talk about today, I've learned it all from her. One of the things I appreciate most is that these aren't just business systems. These are family systems. They create more peace in the home, more teamwork in marriage, and more capacity to focus on what matters most. Chelsi, welcome to Strength for Generations podcast. I'm so glad to have you.
Thank you for having me and for such a sweet introduction. It's been a joy getting to know you over the last, I don't know how many months it's been. A while now. Not quite a year yet. I know that we're not quite at a year together, but it's been so great to see how your commitment and diligence to systems have been able to change how you show up and what your business looks like and your impact and your income from
with
that. Amazing.
Lots of support.
Yeah, it's been so fun. I'm excited to share.
Yeah, good. Okay, well, I have a question that I ask everyone first before we dive into the nitty-gritties. If you could sit down and have coffee with anyone, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
Well, this is one of our family conversation cards that my daughter pulls at the dinner table. So I feel prepared. And my husband's always like, you can't say God. You're not allowed to say that one because that's a given. In my early years, I always said Oprah. But what I say now is Carrie Underwood. I'd love to sit with Carrie Underwood and chat with her.
Okay.
She would be my person. In my other life that I did not have, that I thought I was going to have, I wanted to sing country music. That's what I kind of grew up doing and loved so much. So that's who I'd hang out with.
Oh my goodness, that's so cool. I love that. I love how different these answers can be. You really never know. I mean, being a Christian podcast, most of us are like Jesus or someone from the Bible. But yeah, I really do love how different these answers could be. It's a great icebreaker for everyone.
I know. That's why I pulled that one off the table, because our family's always like, no. Everybody knows that answer. You pick a different one, you know?
Yeah, totally. Okay, why don't we dive into, why don't you tell me a little bit about your story? How did you go from being a busy mom trying to balance everything to becoming known for helping women build systems that actually work?
Well, I came to be known for that because I was drowning and refused to accept that, actually. And so I created a solution to my problem and then got really excited about helping other people with the same solution. And so that's essentially a real quick nutshell. But I was a professional sign language interpreter for 17 years before I started this company. But at the end of being an interpreter, I ended up becoming a single mom. And my mom had actually been divorced. She was newly divorced from my dad. They were married for 27 years. And she was going through a hard time. And obviously, so was I. And we started a wedding business together. And we did all of the florals and all of the design for that company. And I had my baby on my back. And interpreting, it really was more of like a passion project, hobby. And we were making money, but we were shelling it out as quick as we were making it. It wasn't super profitable. And it was the hardest work I'd ever done physically. And I've done hard work in my life, but that was hard. And so, being a believer all of my life, but never really having an opportunity to really come to know the Lord in a way where He actually was the Lord of my life. I had gotten myself, before I moved out, I had gotten myself in a really, really, really hard situation with my daughter. And one day the Lord just said, look, if you do everything that I tell you to do, I'm going to give you this life. And like this vision passed. I mean, like just like my whole life that I'm living today flashed before my eyes. And I was like, I'll do whatever you tell me. And so within a few months, I was moved out for the fourth time and didn't go back this time, and made a life for me and my daughter and gave my whole life, literally every piece of it, to Christ. And within the year I was married to my husband. We've been married for 10 years now, and our kids are 14 and 8, so almost 9. And in that process, when I first got married, I was hustling that interpreting business. We were trying to navigate co-parenting with, the Frankie, my oldest one, was 4. 3.5, 4 years old as we transition into being married, and, how is shared custody going to work? And I was doing this wedding business still, and he was a firefighter going through an academy. His schedule was crazy, and I was trying to cook Pinterest meals every night of my life, and I was dying. The laundry was behind, the dishes were backed up, the toilets had mold in them, the showers were slimy, nothing was the way it was supposed to be. And I'm like, I'm done. This is stupid. I recognize that every single person has 24 hours a day. And what am I doing with mine? There are so many women out there that are not living like this. And I knew that it was because of the choices. It was how I was operating. How I was operating was exactly why I was where I was. And so I started building an operating system without even knowing it. So fast forward, I got rid of the wedding business, started a blog, started a podcast. The podcast took off like wildfire. And then I was able to retire from interpreting. And I've been doing this job now. I've been running this company for 8 years. I've been running it full time for 7 years, 6.5, 7 years full time now. And my husband retired from the fire department. It's been crazy. It's been absolutely wild. And I have a life and business operating system that I sell to moms with a business who truly are going through the exact same thing. They want to grow, they want to contribute, they have a passion and desire to be that Proverbs 31 woman who cares for her family and for her marriage, but also contributes. She makes wise decisions with the time and the talents that she has, and she wants to be really useful. And the dishes and the laundry are not going to hold her back. Like, come on now. So I created a life and business operating system so that I didn't look back and regret my day every day when my head hit the pillow. And most certainly that I didn't want to wait until my kids were grown. Some women do, and that's amazing. But I did not want to wait on becoming everything that I was created to be because I couldn't handle being all of it at the same time. I wanted to be whole, and that looks different for every woman. What that looks like for life and business looks different for every person. There's so many different shades of that, and that's what's really unique about it. So the life and business operating system that I made is really geared to fit you wherever you are. Just like it's fit me in seasons where I was giving my business 5 hours a week, all the way to some weeks I have to give it 40, most weeks I give it 20. From no team to a fully built team, clients, no clients, sick kids, healthy kids, vacation, slaying it. Like the system that I created supports me through and through now. And it's not only my lifeline for my own life, but it's also the thing that I teach and sell. And now you get to have it too.
And so good at teaching it too. Okay, I have to back up just a second. Okay, I literally almost just started crying because I just remember stumbling along your podcast. And I was like, I need to know this woman right now. Her daughter's name's Bailey. My daughter's name's Bailey. She has a 14-year-old. I have a 14-year-old. She's a fire wife. Well, I know that you're going through the different stages. I'm a police wife. I was like, okay, God, this is so meant to be. And I came to you in a place where I was just like, oh my gosh, I had come from coaching and I was a success coach to other coaches in another organization.
Yeah, I forgot.
And I had
that.
a VA before, and I didn't have, and they're super lovely. I would recommend her. She's very, very great. But the way that you had it laid out just made more sense to me in my mind. Because, and I really want to get into what this operating system is. But for me, it made me feel like my house is so out of order. And because of that, working out of the home.
Impossible.
Oh, honestly, I'm just going to straight up, like, so annoying, so challenging. I was like, what am I doing? But I also want to be that Proverbs 31 woman. I think that was when you were speaking, that was really touching my heart so deeply because, God has this amazing gift that he's given you. And what you did was you were obedient. You took what he said and you're like, okay, God, I'm going to do what you tell me to do. And I think it's a hard piece for a lot of us because the world gets in the way and tries to tell you all of the other distracting things that you can do. And they feel shiny and you grab on. But with you, I was like, No, she simplifies it. And I'm going to tell you a little bit more about like some stories that we had going through your program. But just remind me, it's about my husband.
Yeah.
Okay, why don't you share with everyone, what is a life and business operating system? What is that?
Yeah. Essentially, everyone wakes up and operates either in some kind of system that has been intentionally designed or one that was designed by default. And most women are just operating by default. There's never been anything strategic about when, where, what, or even why they do what they do. A lot of times, I mean, nobody teaches us this. Here's the deal before I go any further with that. The way I was definitely taught this. My dad is essentially a mechanical engineer without that being his title, but he's a heavy equipment mechanic. He can rebuild anything from the ground up, and he's incredibly methodical. He can fix anything. He's very, very, very like ingenuitive in that way. My mom is still and always was the best keeper of the house, the keeper of the schedule. She was a fierce stay-at-home mom, but she worked 3 jobs, right? And so she worked through newspapers all night long, and she worked at our school. So she was 100% available to be this mom on the outside, but she was still trying to make money, you know? And then as we got older, when we were in sports and stuff after school, she picked up a job at a hotel in the housekeeping department, you know, because these are the things that my mom was good at. And I remember my dad being like, hey, he always called me CJ. He's never called me by my name a day in my life. He doesn't even know. I don't even know if he knows what my actual name is. He just calls me CJ. So I will, when I'm talking about stories with me and my dad, I'm always like, hey, you know, he'd say, hey, CJ, come on. And he'd have me fixing cars and he'd have me understanding why things were the way that they were. And he toted me along and he didn't care that I was a girl. I hunted the animals. I skinned the animals. I broke camp. I set up camp. I did all of it with my dad. But my mom was like, we got to clean baseboards. We got to make the tea. We've got to make the meal. You better have this set before dad comes home from work. And like, my parents were just such hard workers and they both gave me the best of their skill sets. And so I think I was able to come to this place in my life where I had a different experience of intentionally designing my work and my life to fit together. And it has been a journey for me, as it will be for every woman, to break down religious structure, cultural structure, and our own infrastructure that we were taught by our parents on what our human experience should be, right? There's a lot of things that influence that. And our life and business operating system is designed around that infrastructure. And so if you haven't designed it intentionally, it was just designed by default. So I designed mine very intentionally, like literally whiteboards in the bedroom every weekend when we was first married. And I'm talking like big whiteboard, like the size of my body whiteboard. I'm holding it on my lap and I'm writing, Blaine, what was so great about your week? We were on fire. We didn't have an argument. Dishes were done. Why were you happy? All I cared to do was please my husband, right? To a fault, actually. But that is for another podcast episode. But I was like,
okay,
tell
well,
me.
we're going to come back for part 2 and we're diving right into that. Okay.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
Deep in a marriage. Okay.
Well, and that was a huge part of the life operating system and the business operating system, because I have always felt that my first calling is to be a wife and then a mother, obviously, you know, to be a daughter of the king. But for my duties, I needed to do those things. But I was like, there's still going to be a piece of me that's going to want to make money. And if I'm not supposed to, I'm not supposed to. But like, I needed to. When we first got married, I needed to make money. We had a family right out of the gate. We didn't have time to transition into that slowly and build that just the way that it was. And I think most families are like that. Either they have to or they want to, right? And so I was like taking all this data, and then the weeks that weren't good, I was like, what didn't we do? Why? And some of the big things that came out ended up becoming the most popular system. And it's a micro piece of my life operating system, which are the fundamental needs. And these are the great 8 My fundamental needs, my husband calls them the great 8, are the 8 things that we put on repeat every single week, that if he has his and I have mine, we are solid, right? And that was very, very, very intentionally designed. And I didn't know I was designing this for thousands and hopefully millions of women, but come to find out, God knew exactly what was happening. And so I've been teaching these systems to other people, and it actually works for everyone, which is wonderful. And that's essentially what it is. It's a place, it is a very intentionally designed system that tells you how to operate from the time you open your eyes until the time you close them. And a portion of that during the day is for your work. And when you sit down to the computer or you go into your warehouse, wherever you go to do your work, you should know exactly what to do and when to do it. You should never have to guess. And so there's an operating system for when you're working, and there's an operating system for your life when you're not working. You put those things together and you end up having a lot less overwhelm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so good. I love that. I'm thinking about the fundamental needs. And I remember going through that part, and I just schedule my life like that already. But then, we'll talk about it later, getting family on board and how to do that. But I like to, when people say they want to get to the workout, they want to get to how they're going to structure their nutrition, they're going to get to how they're going to spend time with God, because that's the main piece. Like, I
Yeah.
want to do this then. But
Yeah.
then what do I do when I get there? Right? So you're kind of coming in and you're like, here, let me tell you what to do in your business. I love doing that lifestyle stuff. When you get to the gym, just do this. It's already done for you. Don't worry. It's already figured out. You just have to click a button, And that's why when I came into your system, I'm like, oh, I've done this for people and their health and fitness and mindset and relationship with God. Now it just makes more sense to me. Look, I got to ask you, what do you think is the biggest mistake you see moms doing when they're trying to get organized?
It's too rigid. The number one thing that every woman is doing is she's creating a complicated schedule for herself. And it's a problem. Our lives are, if there's kids involved, it's not predictable, but that is predictable. That is unpredictable. And so you have to build, again, you have to intentionally design your way of operating around the fact that you're going to have curveballs every day. You need to hold your structure and your framework for your time loose enough to where you know how to move things around. I always try to, it's, my husband is new to working for himself only. He's always had a real estate business on the side, but now that's like his main baby since he retired from the fire department. And he asks me questions about this said life and business operating system that I've tried to give to him multiple times. He's such a free bird, and he is craving the outcome of the life and business operating system, but I can't get him to just do it. Like, you got to operate differently, bud. If you want a different outcome, you got to operate differently, you know? And one of the things he always asks me, he just asked me the other day, he's like, somebody told me about color coding my Google Calendar. And I was like, no, absolutely not.
You're like, can you just take my course, please? Can you just look around the house? It's right here in front of you.
Like, you don't need a color coded Google Calendar. What is happening? So, and he's like, why? This is what everyone does. And I'm like, hold on. It's just so funny to me. I'm like, do you not know what I do? Like, this is all I do. This is literally all I do. What are we talking about? And I'm like, yeah, I think that's why my life and business operating system feels like such a breath of fresh air when people finally find it, because it's not strict. And so, to kind of wrap that up, I told him that day, and this is what I say often, is like, wouldn't you rather go bowling with the gutter bumpers up every single time than chance having a gutter ball? And he's like, well, yeah, or you could just get really good at bowling. I'm like, but yeah, you reduce 100% chance of having a gutter ball when you have these guardrails in place. And he said, so the operating system is your guardrails, right? Like, you should just be able to get up at any given day, tip a domino, and the whole domino, that like the whole day just tips like dominoes. That's what you want, is not trying to even figure out what your dominoes are and where you want them. Like, you can figure that out one time. And then, when the kids are babies and they go through a leap, or they drop from 2 naps to 1, or they go from in-person school to homeschool. Like, we've gone through every single one of these seasons, and the operating system really stays the same. It's just a tiny tweak. Instead of feeling like I have to reinvent myself every single Monday, like I've just been running the same operating system for like 8 years now, and we just have little teeny tiny tweaks. So I think it's such a myth. It is such a myth that you have to find the perfect schedule and you need to be in the perfect season of life. None of those things are ever going to happen.
Ever. I know. And it's so interesting because that's the way that you work through that process. And it's like, you can't just wait to have the perfect schedule to start working out. Let's just start slowly. And then when it gets busy, you know what I mean? When we pivot during the seasons, we don't stop doing the thing. And I did the exact same thing with you, because I remember feeling like I can never get this together because the way Mike's work is, and then I've got one homeschooling and I got one going out this way, and then we've got life group this day, and I'm going to this city and they're going to that city, and maybe my husband will be home to maybe get the kids, but every third week he's not home. So like, it was so much. And I remember saying to you, I just need to find order in all of these areas.
It's consistency. That is what I promise. I can promise you
consistency on the right plan.
Yeah, but I think the most discouraging thing that a woman faces is how resilient she can be just to be knocked down again. And after so many times of trying to organize the playroom, trying to start the business, trying to do the thing, there's no consistency. There's no, like, we're just building momentum, and it just keeps building. Even in the lows, we're still building momentum. Just like you said with working out. Like, of course, there's going to be sickness, there's going to be vacation, but it doesn't mean that you're not still moving in the direction of your health and fitness goals. That's the problem, is like, whatever the thing is that you're chasing in your life and your business, essentially trying to grow your business consistently so you can stop starting over again and again and again and again. That consistency was what I was craving. And I definitely cracked the code. Like, my husband was on a crazy rotation, It was on 2, off 5, or on 2, off 4. So the weeks rotated. He worked Tuesday, Wednesday, then he worked Monday, Tuesday, then Sunday, Monday, then Saturday, Sunday. And it just like kept rotating around the week like that. I was always on pickup and drop off.
100%.
It's just was like single mom in it, except when he's home, he wants to be on weekend life. But those 4 days might fall on a Monday through Thursday. So now there goes my work blocks because I want to go on a date. Like, it was ridiculous. It was so hard. And I was like, this is not going to stop me. Like, there is a pattern here, and I'm going to figure out how to grow and be consistent in this pattern. And the same system is still supporting me, even though we changed that pattern. And that is what is so helpful.
100%. I mean, I'm a testament to it. If I can do it, anybody can. Knowing my schedule, because people are like, how do you do it? And I'm like, I don't know. I pray a lot. Really, that's my, I got to organize. But so, okay, what are the foundational systems that every family should have in place?
Okay, so let's laser focus now on the life operating system. Let's talk about that. And what this life operating system does is it will give you a plan for your time and for your tasks. Okay. When you look at your life, so we're pulling work out of that. Your time and your tasks are super important. So obviously you need to have a system for your time. And this is for the whole family. What are you guys doing from the time you wake up until the time you go to bed, right? So that's pretty straightforward. I mix that between a Google Calendar and a paper planner. There's some nuances there that we don't need to go into right now. But then there's, how do you manage all of the tasks that you have to do? The things that have to get done. This is home management. This is a huge undertaking. This is where women get swallowed. They get pummeled. The dishes, the cooking, the cleaning, the laundry, and whether you have animals and property, and like this can just multiply. So I want to kind of focus on that home management piece a little bit right now, because this is something that I think is really unique to me. There's some really great systems that should be taught in school, honestly, for kids to be able to know how to keep up with stuff, to be able to be a good housemate, let alone a good mother or a good child, a good housemate, right? Regardless of what the relationship is to the people in the house. Um, put your laundry on a set day and do it on a rotation. There's little nuances of all of this, but the one thing of that I teach is, as a mom and as a wife, is outsourcing and to the people in your own home. Get your family involved in this process. And yeah, sure, is it nice to hire a cleaner? Yeah, but I didn't have a budget for that forever. And even still, sometimes we budget it and sometimes we don't. There's a lot of things that you can outsource and pay for, but also if you set up a system in your home and you know when you do what you do to get all of the tasks done, it's very easy to have your kids start helping. And it's very easy for your husband to help out. He will. He wants to help. He doesn't know what to do, and he most certainly doesn't want to be belittled in the process when he didn't put the dishes away in the right spot, and he didn't load the dishwasher the right way, or he didn't cook the meal the right way, or he didn't get the right kind of mayonnaise. Like he doesn't know how to help the way that you want him to help, and you think it's easier just to do it than to teach the kids, right? And so there has to be like this switch when it comes to you and how you operate your life to get some order in place, to get some structure in place. Start doing it yourself and then involve other people, your kids and your husband, into that process as a form of mutual respect for everyone to be contributing. So one of my favorite systems in the household is technically what you would call a chore system, but I actually have I have a ban on the word chores. We don't use chores in our house. My kids do chores, but that's not what we call them. We call them contributions. And then they have jobs that they are available to pick up and do as an independent contractor, and they get paid for it. They bill for it. They get paid for it. Teaches them some incredible opportunity that I think a lot of kids don't have given to them at a really young age. But contributions have to be done before you can do a job. And those contributions are what most family would call chores. My kids don't get paid to contribute. They're required to contribute. And they know what to contribute to because I've trained them to look around and see what needs to be done. They don't even have a list of here's your daily contributions. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I want my kids always looking for how can I contribute? How can I take what I love, what I'm good at, what I have skills to do and go contribute? So I'm shaping this in their brains from a really early age. And the only way that I can do that is because I know what needs to be done in my house and when it needs to be done. So it has to start with mom. It has to start with wife. It obviously has been done in tandem with my husband, but he's given me full liberty to manage this household the way that I want to manage it, with his full support. It seems overwhelming, for the woman listening that's like, but there's so much. It's really not. We can chunk this down. We can make it simple and straightforward. We can change one small thing at a time. And before you know it, you'll blink. And in a month, your whole house, the way that you guys live will be completely transformed. So that's kind of the life piece of it in a nutshell. There's little micro systems within that help us get from point A to point B in a really streamlined way. I'm sure you have your favorites.
Oh my gosh, I want to tell you. Okay, so like even right now, because I have one in camp this week, Bailey, who I homeschool, right?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
this is actually the first time we've not been together. Like for the next 3 weeks, she's in. And it's not that we have a problem not being together. It's just I'm just with her all the time because I homeschool her.
Yeah.
So it's not like summer started, they were home for 2 or 3 weeks, and then she's going to camp. It's like she's going to camp, and it's the first time she's gone and left for a while. And so she is 11, and she gets up. She knows exactly what to do. She comes downstairs. I'll be unloading the dishwasher. She comes on the other side, starts putting it away. Like, I don't even say anything anymore.
Yeah.
She makes her own breakfast, including protein, making sure, okay, mom got my protein. Like, she just knows these things. I'm like, girl, you're going to know so much more than the average person. Like, you're 11.
Charity
And
does,
it's like,
actually.
and then during the, you know how like the afternoon we kind of get after lunch, but we were working, we're homeschooling, all those things. And now our flow, she just goes and makes sure it's all tidy before everyone else, like Casey comes home and Mike comes home, because I'm going to come now and make the dinner and like all these things. And it's just been such a joy. So Casey's home with me now. Bailey's off, Casey's home. And so today Casey just did the whole kitchen before she does her job board, because she's going to get paid for that. And we built that in because of your program. I made my kids and my husband sit and listen to the curriculum that you give us. And I'm like, guys, because I don't want to tell them. And what you said about the husbands is so true. Like, our husbands are good. They don't want to work against us. And sure, some of them really struggle when it comes to this stuff. But all women will say, oh, can he just do it right? And I'm like, I've been so guilty of it, where I have, just been like, well, I should just do it myself then, if it's not going to get done the right way. But I have to let them figure it out, but also be clear. Like, hey, when I do all of these things, I really like doing this in the home. This is how I feel. My Proverbs 31 woman, my nurturing side. I love making sure they wake up gently. And so Mike was like, amazing. I'm not going to interfere with that. I'll do this instead. And then it's like, we're a team.
Yeah.
And it honestly, I tried so many different things, guys. I'm telling you, whoever's listening to this right now, Chelsi Jo system, I will sing praises to all day long, because it changed our home, and that was amazing.
I'm so glad.
I also have friends that see our summer board that we have the job board. For us, I had the kids make a full list of daily contributions that they saw.
Mm-hmm.
And then we just put it on a list. So I'm like, well, if you can't think of any, why don't you just go take a look at the list?
Absolutely. Yep.
And that was really cool.
We had a season, it was last summer, where we had written down that, like, these are the 2 points in the day when you have to do a daily contribution, and you can pick what they are. And for a while, they're like, well, I don't know. And I was like, look around. What needs to be done? And it was very eye-opening to me, because they were like, I have no idea. And I'm like, of course you don't, because I've been doing it. I've been doing it. So you have no idea that it needs to get done, because it's getting done. So it doesn't look like it needs to get done. So they also, in their young minds, don't understand that if you don't water the plants die. Like, they're not thinking that means I need to get up and go water the plants. It's this cause and effect that children don't learn anymore. They literally don't. Everything is given to us immediately. There's immediate gratification, and there's very, very, very little natural consequences. I'm guilty as a parent to try and keep natural consequences for my kids as often as I can, just because I'm a nurturing, caring, loving mother. But I know that as a form of discipline and shepherding, my kids have to experience consequences for their own choices. And one of those things that I'm trying to really instill in them is you do this, and then the outcome that you want happens. So I'm trying to get them to see, if you want this to happen, then you do these things first, peel it back, slow it down, and design things with intention. Like, think about the way that you're operating to get the outcome that you want. And that little bit of structure and framework a year ago really helped them. And I just hammered this in, right? My husband's like, why don't we just write down what they have to do? And I'm like, I don't want to do it. Like, I will be there and I will hold their hand, so to speak, through this conversation every morning until they start thinking like that without mom. I'm not trying to create list checkers. I'm trying to create independent thinkers that understand this is the way that we operate. Because everyone's obsessed with the skylight calendar. No shade if you have one. You can put my system into a skylight calendar, but it is a rigid schedule met with a bunch of check marks. And I don't want to run off of check marks. Check marks, I do have them, but like, I don't want to constantly be thinking about what do I need to put on my list in order for me to be productive, in order for me to be consistent? What do I need to write down? I don't have a pen and paper with a list on it anywhere. Like I don't have it, you know? I have a few random things that I put in my planner once a week. But other than that, like that's not the way that I want to operate now. And so I have figured out a way to operate that way and then get my kids involved in it too, which is just, glory be to God that you were able to have that.
Well, you got to
And
train them up. We were told to train them up. Do you know what's interesting? Okay, honestly, like how many times have you put something on the stairs and nobody sees? I'm like, you literally
they
like
walk over it.
walked over it.
The next time you go upstairs, stop stepping over your stuffed animal. Can you please take it up the stairs?
They don't see it. They don't see it. It's like they're box jumping. They get up to the third step, then they hop, then they go to the other one. Between that, you know what else was a little test? This might be a little bit of something for somebody needs to hear this today. I have 2 days of the year that I will ask for specific things. 1, Mother's Day, 2, my birthday. Okay. I'm just like, I love celebrating other people's birthdays. I really struggled to celebrate my own. So when we were together, like I was like, I'm really big on others' birthdays. So all I'm going to ask right now is that when I come downstairs for a coffee in the morning, it is Christa clean on the main floor. That's it. And then they do it on Mother's Day and they do it on my birthday, which means they know how to do it.
Of course they do.
Without a list.
Yeah.
So that was kind of like a little tester because I'm like, okay, so I know you can do it now. Can I pull that
I love that you call it Christa clean. That is hilarious. I call it company ready.
Okay. Yeah, that's so true.
Everybody knows those memes of like companies coming and mom turns into like a heathen, she's just like, throw it all away, make it all clean.
My whole family's like, friends are coming. I was like, I just gonna plan a party. That's
exactly. My husband's like, you get a little stressed when we have company, but it's worth it because look at how much we get done. Backyard, we just hosted for 4th of July. Backyard, like everything's done. I'm like, well, don't open the garage because we did put a few things in there that don't belong.
I was like, well, don't go in the garage because the garbage is all in there. Okay, so 2 things. I know we have like not too much time together, but I want to make sure we cover 2 things. One. So when I first started working with you and I came in as one of your one-on-one clients, the first thing we did was the shared calendar. I was just like, how do I do this? Because there's miscommunication, me and Mike. And I'll be honest with you, that was a really big game changer. Obviously tedious. I had all these different old email accounts and stuff like that. Do you want to just do a quick run through of how people can manage their calendar? And then I really want to make sure we touch on your business management system.
Yeah. This is the thing that my husband will always come back to and be like, you should just talk about the calendar because it totally changed his life. He came to me one day. He's a typical dude, but and he doesn't love home management. Like he does not like it. He's willing to support and help, but he's not one of those guys. It's like, yeah, teach me what you're doing. I can't wait to help you. Like he's normal. He's like every other husband, super great. But also it's like, serving other people is hard, right? Our tendencies as all humans are to be selfish, husband or wife. And so the one thing in that though, he just took off with the Google Calendar system, never balked at it. And it was his own idea, like, great. And he texted me one day and he's like, dude, these men at the fire station, they have to ask their wives permission if they can do something because they have no idea what's on the calendar. And he was like, I'm trying to tell everybody, like, bro, don't you want your autonomy? Like, get a shared calendar with your wife. So he talks about it all the time, how he thinks it's the best thing that we do. And we've been doing the same thing for 10 years. And it's quite simple. He has a calendar. I have a calendar. So husband has a calendar underneath their own Gmail, Google account, the Gmail email that you have. And then the wife has one. And to break this down, every Gmail account can have multiple calendars on it, right? So there is a calendar account in your Gmail email address. If you open up Gmail and you click on the calendar, you open up your calendar, you can create multiple calendars in there. It's very confusing. I did not create that. but that's what they call it. So essentially, I have a wifey calendar and he has a Blaine calendar. He didn't call his anything fun. So he shares that calendar with me and I share mine with him. So when he opens up his phone on his iPhone, we view it through the iPhone. I view mine through my iPhone, or you can pull it up on the computer and look at it. I see all of his appointments. He sees all of mine. The kids' stuff, everything's all on there. It's all there. Now, that's pretty much how straightforward it is. Every weekend on Sunday, we sit down and we update our calendars together. We make sure that our fundamental needs are there. When are you going to the gym? When are you working? When is date night? We make sure that the Sunday sit down is on the calendar. When are we meal planning and prepping, shopping, that whole, 4 or 5 hour thing that we do once a week. So time consuming, I swear. It's so worth it though. And there's a couple other things, the cleaning, when are we doing that, etc. And so that's pretty much all we do to maintain it. Now, we just talked about last night, actually, now that our oldest is 14, we are going to have a different iteration of that where we're going to have a shared family calendar where she and her sister won't see it because she's 9, and so she won't be brought into this yet. We're still doing paper calendar with her on purpose. And so then we'll bring the 14-year-old into this as well, so that when she has an appointment, because right now she's texting, hey, when's my ortho appointment? And I'm like, we're done with this.
Yeah.
I'm not, you can just look at the calendar and you can know yourself. You can arrange your own rides. You can make, budgeting starts coming into play. So this allows so much to be taken off of your shoulders as the keeper of the schedule if you just start sharing calendars.
Yeah. Well, what we ended up doing is, so I made one super simple, like it's M, like Mike, Christa, Casey Bailey, MCB, whatever, Baker at gmail.com. He signed into it on his, because he doesn't have an Apple phone. So he had to go through the whole Gmail account. And then I had mine, and he doesn't see my work blocks. I don't need him to see my work blocks.
Sure. Yeah.
Because I know my work blocks, they're under my business stuff.
Yeah.
But he sees all the kids stuff, because then it was, I think the communication issue is like, well, who's picking up who, when? And I'm like, and then we knew, okay, Bailey's cheers tonight. You're going to pick her up. You make sure she gets there. I'll do the pickup, and I'm taking one of those other kids home. And Casey and I literally just had this conversation because she's 14, and she said something about going to her friend's house. Well, can I go? And I'm like, you can look on the family calendar. Is there anything else there? Then yeah, sure. Like, we'll talk about it still. But my Bailey literally goes in. She's like, hey, what's on the schedule today? Okay, Mom, you got a meeting with Chelsi Jo from 1 to 2, like this and this. And she just knows.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, what do I got on my calendar? She's like my little assistant now.
I know. So cute.
There's no, what that's done is it stopped the fighting. We would fight over these things like ridiculously, unnecessarily, because you're like, dude, I don't know. What? Figure it out. Go on the other calendar. I had to do all the, like at the beginning of the school year, I go through the whole, well, what are the main dates on the school schedule? Okay, plug that in. Now Mike can see it. Okay, Casey has this sport on this date, but it's changing on the Tuesday because there's a holiday. Like, we just go and move it around. And like, you know how you have me reset my business every Thursday is when I go over my calendar. My husband knows, he's getting the question. Any surprises coming up, like any new things happening on your schedule, any overtime. He goes in there now, puts all his on call. But I have to tell you one thing, because I think we should probably give some people some insight on how to get the husband on board. Mike says to me, after me like pleading a couple of weeks ago, he got promoted into that other unit and he's got a different schedule. And I was like, hey, can you just go in and show me when you have what? And then I can start making this new schedule around your new one. And he goes, I wish I would have done this a long time ago. I was like, oh, you are so lucky. I love you. Bit my tongue pretty hard on that one, but we are fully on board.
Yep.
Like, would you give advice to someone whose spouse isn't naturally, we need to get them to have the buy-in without creating conflict.
Yeah. So the language that I always suggest is to take any of these systems, because I get this all the time. Well, my husband's, not typically on board. He's a little resistant or whatever. Okay. Whatever the system is, I always say, go to your husband and say, after you've done it, like you need to do it and you need to know it. Okay. And obviously, you know your husband well. If he's going to be okay with you two both failing forward, then bring him in and loop him in right away out of the gate. But if he's going to be like, this doesn't work, I'm not doing it because you haven't figured out the kinks yet, figure out the kinks for yourself and then take it to your husband. And I would just say, hey, I have found this calendar, this scheduling tool that has been incredibly useful and helpful for me. I would like for you to be open to trying it for 2 weeks. Give it all you have. And if at the end of the 2 weeks we don't see any improvement, then it's okay if we don't do it anymore. Then after that, you would say, here's the only thing that I need from you. And tell him the one thing that you need him to do. And be like, what do you think? Can you do that one thing for me for 2 weeks? Just leave it be. It doesn't have to be like diarrhea of the mouth of the entire thing, all the things, so much emotional verbalizing and digesting everything through him because it can be overwhelming. They just want to know, like, what do you need me to do? How much time is it going to take? And what is the benefit? So one of the, which I didn't mention, the best way to close that conversation is to say, the reason why I want you to do this is so that, and then insert the thing that has been the problem so that we can stop having these arguments over drop off and pick up so that we can start having date night more frequently. So you really want to use the thing that you guys have been trying to do or that you have been doing that you don't want to do as the tool for the buy-in, right? It's the way that you communicate and that you position the thing instead of it being this emotional release that, women can be either on the side of the spectrum where they're really insecure and don't know how to talk about it, or they're really overly confident and a little bit pushy. And so it's great to bring both women to the middle of that spectrum and just try and communicate concisely. Rewind the episode and jot that down, transcribe it, give yourself some communication prompts. It's super helpful.
So good. I know probably only have a couple minutes left, eh? Do you have a meeting?
Yeah, I do actually.
Okay. Well then you're gonna have to go and listen to Chelsi Jo, binge listen to her podcast, play it in the car like I used to. And I'd be like, okay, guys, we're gonna listen to a 20-minute podcast together. And then you're gonna give me your main takeaways. Okay, can I ask you one last question then before
absolutely.
we pop out?
Mm-hmm.
So at the end of your life, obviously, you and I are both Christian. So when the Lord calls you home and people look back at your life, what do you hope they remember you for?
Yeah, definitely a life of being used by the Lord. I hope that they look at me and see that I was doing the Lord's work and that's all that really ever mattered. I remember seeing a really old female family member in a nursing home when I was very young, and she was reading her Bible when we got there, and she excused us early so that she could get back to reading her Bible, and it stuck with me my whole life, still to this day. So I hope that whatever, I hope I'm greeted with well done, good and faithful servant is what I really hope. And I hope that my children are left with a legacy of not being afraid to do what they're called to do because the Lord is asking them to do it. So, and for anybody else that was able to know me, I think there's going to be small imprints in, the cheerleaders' lives that I coached and the deaf people that I interpreted for 17 years and the moms that learned my operating system. There's been different seasons of me, different imprints of me all over. And I know that will continue to happen until my work is done here. So it's a great question.
And I love that one. It makes me so teary-eyed. I'm feeling a little emotional today. I'm so grateful for you. Where can everyone find you?
Yeah, come and find me over on YouTube or wherever you stream podcasts. Systemize Your Life is the name of my show. Or you can head over to my website, chelsijo.co. I'd love to see you inside of one of my workshops. We've got some fun events planned for the rest of 2026 and beyond. So maybe I can catch you live at one of those. And otherwise, I'll definitely see you in
We'll
the comments.
slather the show notes too, so we'll have lots of
Yeah.
stuff in there for you guys.
Yeah.
All right,
Awesome.
girl. Well, I
Thanks
mean,
for
we got to
having
do part 2 soon. I'm going to have people being like, let's hear those stories.
me.
But thanks so much for being here.
Yeah. Thanks.
Thanks for tuning in to Strength for Generations. If this podcast encouraged you, it would be a blessing if you took a quick minute to leave a 5-star review. It helps more families hear this message and find hope for their health and faith journey. It lights me up to know this podcast is helping you. And if you feel led to share this episode, text it to a friend, post it to your stories, or send it to someone on your heart. God might use it to encourage someone who really needs it today. And don't forget to eat steaks, lift weights, love Jesus, and keep doing it His way.